Hello, everyone. Thanks very much for attending today's webinar, which is about Microsoft CoPilot, but we are going to talk specifically about PowerPoint. So this is about 30 minutes. We're going to go into some great examples of how you can use PowerPoint, and hopefully you'll walk away feeling like you might be able to save yourself some time and also some searching. I think this is a good one because we also go into how you can use some of your resources that you already have likely saved in the cloud, whether it's SharePoint or OneDrive, because CoPilot is so well integrated, especially with the licensing. So most of what I'm going to show you today is going to be done with a Microsoft 365 CoPilot license, or if you have a pro version, that will work as well with CoPilot, but you just won't have access to your work files, which I think is a huge helper. It's probably my favorite thing you can do with CoPilot and PowerPoint is take an existing file and then make a presentation out of it. But then from there, I'm going to show you some really cool things, how we can modify them, how we can summarize them, a lot of great things. So hopefully everybody can hear me. This is being recorded. We also have a question panel, and I'm very excited to share this with you. I always enjoy sharing my enthusiasm for topics like this, and there's a series of webinars that are offered, and Virtual IT does a great job of showing some of the coolest, latest, and greatest stuff that might be helpful to you. So here we go. If you've got questions, please use that question panel. We are here to help out. We have Brad and Mike from Virtual IT and Dan from Knowledge Wave as well, who can moderate and answer questions if I can't stop what I'm doing. And my name is John. Why don't we get started? So again, we're going to be talking about PowerPoint specifically, and really, we break it down into 4 different parts. There are different prompts that we can do within CoPilot. We can create, we can understand, we can edit, we can ask, because we're using AI. And remember, this is CoPilot, which is Microsoft's AI-powered assistant. And it's integrated so well into Microsoft 365 that actually we can leverage that advanced AI and machine learning. And then from there, we can use PowerPoint to design, create, we can enhance our presentations. And like I said, we can even do it from documents that we have already existing. CoPilot is going to allow us, as I mentioned, to integrate right into the app. And I'll show you a few different ways that you can use CoPilot and PowerPoint, as in, Microsoft, there's always more than one way to do the same thing. But CoPilot's interesting because some of the ways you do it, you'll actually get better results. And I'll give you kind of a tour of the key features. We've got some examples. And also, just for fun, please use that question panel to let us know if there's a topic you want to try out. I would love to try some of the stuff that might be interesting to you, and we can showcase some of these key features. So we're going to do a few things. We'll create a presentation from scratch with CoPilot. That can be helpful because we can get suggestions on things like text and images and layouts, and then we can just quickly generate content that's relevant. And keep in mind that AI, including Microsoft CoPilot, is not always correct. So it makes mistakes. I've been in several friendly arguments with it. Make sure you check your facts and include actual data that you have, because it will use the web and your work files to create stuff. And you can specify if you want to get a little bit more specific about where it's looking. This one's also helpful, summarizing presentations. I'll show you how we can do that. Sometimes we get a presentation and maybe it's not presented to us, but we get it. We see it, we're reading it. It's 100 slides and they're super text heavy. If you open it in PowerPoint, it can actually summarize it for you. It can give you more context, and it can connect you to other people and resources. I like that part too. Working with images is a lot of fun. Sometimes because it's AI generated, you will get some pretty funny results sometimes. So this does take practice. It's also new. I think it's Happy Birthday CoPilot a year last month. So this is a work in progress. And of course, machine learning and AI in general is changing more and more. Like every day, there's something new. So I'm going to show you some of the resources, like some of the cool prompts that you could try out. And that's another thing about this, is a lot of times this is something you might have already been doing, but you just didn't have the time. PowerPoint presentations take a long time to make sometimes. So just a few slides here, creating some awareness. Copilot is actually in a lot of different apps that you have in Microsoft 365. Some you may not even realize, like Whiteboard, for example. But within here, the suggestions and the designs, relevant images, this slide, well, the image in the circle, I asked it to create a person typing at their computer in claymation, and it did it. It's kind of neat. Here's another one that was kind of claymation. It can generate text and bullet points for your slides. So if you have a topic, like let's say it's something generic, maybe a safety presentation, and certainly you have company specific things, but you want it to actually search the web and maybe build out your bullet points a little bit, it can do that. And if your bullet points are too long, you can ask it to shorten it, and it's going to be the same content, of course. It'll also generate notes for you. So when Copilot creates a presentation for you, it's got visualizations, we've got text, bullets, content. You can manipulate it, but it also gives you actually pretty good speaker notes. Also, as I mentioned, the images part, we can use, if you have a Copilot Microsoft 365 license, you can use a designer in Teams, but you can also, right in PowerPoint, create images, ask it, and it will use Microsoft Designer, which is an app that's powered by Copilot. So you can get a lot fancier than you think sometimes and really use your imagination. A lot of it is just knowing whether or not you can do it, how to do it, but then coming up with ideas. So what we'll do is go through and I will show you much as I can so you can make the most of it. I'm going to start with this presentation. This is actually one that I created using Copilot, but I'm going to show you some of the features of how we can build this one and other ones out. And I'm going to just close that. To get started, I'm going to actually start here, File, New. I'm just going to create a blank presentation. First, make sure you have Copilot. If you're using a free license, let's say, or you don't have the Pro or the Microsoft 365 one, you can still use Copilot on the web for free and ask it to create presentations for you and to create things. You just have to do it manually and ask and then compile it yourself, which is hugely helpful if you don't have Copilot yet for work. But when you do have this type of license, you should see on the Home tab a Copilot button. It's next to Designer. And these are two really helpful buttons. Also make sure, now I'm going to go to File and Account, and just make sure that you have the correct license. You can see the little Copilot icon there, and I have that license for this account. So if I switch to a different tenant, that's not going to be there. It'll be different. And some of the features, depending on your build, you may or may not see yet, but like I said, they're changing all the time. So let's start here. When you log in, of course, you do have to log in, make sure it's your correctly licensed account, and you're immediately going to see the Copilot icon right here. This is on the top left of the slide. So this is presentation 9. It would be presentation 1, 2, whatever it is if you create a new one. Now, you can, a common question actually, what if I have to use my work template? You can do that as well. So if you have a work template, and let's say, just use one of the pre-built ones for an example. Like let's say I have this retrospect design. A lot of times in PowerPoint, you might create new and then you'll see your work presentation there, the template. You can open it, and whatever style you're opened, what is opened rather, it will create a presentation or maybe from a file or just from scratch and use that style. So those fonts, those colors and things, so that'll be honored. So that's something that a lot of people ask about actually. And for this example, we're just going to use a couple of templates, but I'm going to start again with that blank one. So this is a great place to just get started. Click. I mentioned we have that one up on the ribbon, but sometimes you just see that first. And if you click it, and it'll even auto-populate, create a presentation about, create a presentation from a file. Now those are going to be Word files or PDFs. You can also paste content into the chat, which I'll show you in a minute. And that's a cool way to work because you can have kind of a conversation and develop it. Remember, it is learning what you're saying. It is using large language models. It's using the web. It's using your work. I'll show you how you can toggle that back and forth because sometimes it doesn't always work how you'd expect. But let's take a look here. We also have Ask CoPilot. If I click Ask CoPilot, it's going to give this flyout menu on the right. I'm going to close it. The X, that's the same thing as clicking this button up on the top. So from here, we can switch copilots. That's what this little button does. And if I go, if you have new conversations or you have other models for your work, sometimes you'll see something listed there. But usually this is a perfect place to start. We have 4 things. Remember, we can create, and it gives us prompt examples right in the titles here. So create a presentation from, and then a file. And if you click one of these, it just populates this little part. Ask me anything about this presentation. Well, there's nothing there yet. We want to create. So create a presentation about, and then it gives an example in square brackets, the benefits of meditating every day. And if I click that, it doesn't actually put the words in for the example. You can just start typing. So we can also understand what are the dates or deadlines. This is understanding an existing presentation. And then show key slides in this deck. That's what I meant. If you have that 100-slide deck, this can be really helpful for summary. But let's give this one a try. I'm going to say, well, let's create a presentation about, and we'll just do one from scratch here. Travel to Vermont. Something very basic. I don't give a lot of context. I just say it's going to include information about travel and then a location. Let's see, this one's live, so we'll see if, as it's pulling things together, if this actually makes sense. This is where I live, and we'll see if there's any fictional information. Now, this is also a good opportunity to go adjust images, although that one's pretty cool. Discover scenic beauty, outdoor recreation, and local food. This so far looks pretty good. I actually would use this. So it says, okay, here you go. Presentation about travel to Vermont. If you'd like to use Designer, so it recommends other things that you can do. And Designer is right up here on the top. So if you're thinking, well, this slide's pretty cool, I like the image, but let's change it. Hit Designer button, and then we can click and see different examples. That makes it muted a little bit. We don't want that. We want it to be nice and bright. Actually, I may have liked the first one the best. There we go. And also, once you get going, you can click on Other Slides, and Designer will generate. See, for me, it will generate new ones. For me, this is a lot of white space and a lot of text. So I may click that, and we'll get Lake Champlain in there. And we can see all sorts of pretty cool information. So this so far is pretty accurate, actually. I mentioned, I'm going to grab this bottom notes part. We have notes for each of these slides. So foliage, skiing, and as I go down, we can see there are different parts. Ski resorts. Those mountains look a little big. And this is pretty lengthy. There we go, 12 slides. I'm actually impressed. This one I just wanted to try on the fly to see what happened. I recommend trying it too. Just pick a place and type it in and see what you get. Maple syrup, cheddar cheese, and craft beer. So far, spot on. This is actually cracking me up. Now, with this, I'm going to close the Designer. I do like that one because this is great. In just a few seconds, less than a minute, I have this great presentation that I can just play. It's got some animations, some fades. Now, it is a lot of text, but in a hurry, this is awesome. So I'm going to say, well, ask me anything about this presentation. I say, please add. I say, please add. I think you get better results. That includes information about, I'm going to just say Ben and Jerry's ice cream. Now this is going to search the web, but it's a specific thing. So it may give me a hard time. It says, here you go. So founded in 1970 in Burlington. This is correct. Two of my favorite flavors, actually. And this is all correct. This is a popsicle. That is not an ice cream. So I might go use CoPilot to create something different. Insert an image of ice cream, or I'm going to say of an ice cream cone. I promise we're going to do more business ones, but this was something using the web to see how it could do with my non-work stuff. Of an ice cream cone. If you make a mistake, you can just hit stop generating and that works just fine. I do it all the time if there's a massive typo. But here we go. This is what I meant before, Designer. Now you can use Designer in Teams as well, which I love. It's actually one of the app tiles on the side. You can create images in there, not have to worry about stock images and licensing and stuff, and you can use those. It also uses Designer. It's kind of like a sub app inside of PowerPoint. So there it is, right in line with this chat, and it's, I can look back at all my other stuff. It does constantly remind us AI-powered suggestions may be inaccurate, but that looks like a pretty accurate ice cream, so we'll do that. And I click on the image, choose Insert. Oh, something went wrong. Look at that. I'm going to delete this one first. We'll try it again. Do that one. This is perfect, isn't it? I'm going to type it in again, so you'll get different results every time. And this happened to me earlier, and literally tried it again in 10 minutes, and it worked. Maybe it's that image. Interesting. So what I'm going to do is show you that you can use, so this is from the Microsoft 365 content library. Maybe it's ice cream cone. I'm just going to try one more thing, because I practiced this one before. An image of fall foliage. I added this one earlier. So don't get nervous if you see something like that happen. There's that image I used earlier. There we go. That one worked. I don't know. It's a computer, right? It's a computer that thinks it's a human, which I love, but sometimes you'll run into those issues. So I suggest just trying again and don't sweat it. So that was cool. We just added that additional. Oh, now it worked. Ta-da. That was actually a really good example. I did not mean it to do all that, but I'm glad it did, because we can see troubleshooting is not a huge deal. But anyway, this is awesome. Now what I'm going to do is, we talked about this button and then getting the top prompts there. So I've got some content. It's kind of cool. Now I'm going to say something like this. Well, there are some examples. Let's talk about that first. What is Vermont's farm-to-table scene known for? What are some popular hiking trails in Vermont? I'm going to just click that. And it is reaching out to the web to find this information. This isn't on my tenant for work. This is something that it's finding on the web. So from here, you can copy that and then you can paste it. You can ask it many, many different things. Just ask. If it doesn't work, sometimes it's just that capability isn't available yet, or it's being kind of weird. All right, here's another one. I'm going to go through and show another quick example here. I'm going to click on the flyout menu again, open CoPilot. Just a couple of customization things. What you can do is hover over the middle. Sometimes it's helpful to make this bigger. Keep in mind that you also have the ability to see the notes. Your views matter. Those are on the bottom right. And then this, you can resize that navigation pane if you want to. I'm going to click on this drop down arrow and just point out this as well. Some people don't like it over on the right. If you choose move, you can actually have it be a floating window like this, or we'll get the move arrow again. We can dock it to the side like that, so it's on the left. Your choice. I'm going to choose move. I'm going to put it in the default area again, perfect. So for this one, this is a presentation called Building a Foundation for AI Success. This is something people need to think about sometimes before they roll out CoPilot. So this is for a leader. This is just talking about, this is a long one. It's 29 slides and it's packed. Here are the 5 pillars of AI success with notes, of course, business strategies and so on. It's a lot. It was from a file. So I'm going to click on this link just to show you. This is a PDF that's 21 pages from Microsoft, and it's a lot of information. And I might not want to read it all, but I know I've got to do a presentation. I'll just minimize that. This is on my, webinar. It's on a webinar team, a SharePoint site. So what I did was I just said, create a presentation from, and I pasted the link to where that lives on SharePoint. Create a presentation from this file. And then what it did was said, here's an outline for the presentation I'm generating. So it did all the things, took all these bullet points, and then it told me, here's a draft. I've got 29 slides. It includes speaker notes. I've added images and applied some layouts. This is awesome. I mean, this is easy. It's as easy as just copy link from any file that's Word or PDF, or PowerPoint. You can rewrite any PowerPoint you want. And then I created it, and then I used please summarize this presentation just to kind of go the other way. Sometimes this can be really helpful. This is giving me a summary, kind of a high-level summary of a big presentation, and we have little areas here that show with the numbers, like footnotes, where in the presentation we see that. So that's helpful because you can just kind of click and go to it. Additional choices here, and then you can continue to ask anything about the presentation. So I'm going to say, tell me more about the 5 pillars of AI. Oops, not QI, that's Chi. So tell me more. So what we've done so far is we summarized, we've created. Now there's additional creation with content. We have the 5 pillars here. So you create slides for this new content. So it does feel like a conversation. Here, creating new slides. It says to replace your existing ones. Do you want to save a copy first? I'm going to just say yes, please. I want to make the changes just for the demo. But of course, make sure you're saving often and things. And if you try again, it'll give you a slightly different version. Sometimes if you don't like what you get first, don't get turned off by it. Just give it another try. That's my recommendation, especially with the images part. We saw some pretty good examples, but the ice creams gave us a challenge. All right, so here we are. It added a presentation with all sorts of information from it. Now, keep in mind, this is all AI generated, so sometimes it takes the context the wrong way. It's a really important part of your prompt is to give context. And I'd say one of the best ways to give that context is to use an actual file that exists. So here we go. Create a presentation from a file or ask. Check this out. Ask me anything about the presentation. If I type in create a presentation from, and then I type a slash. If you type in the slash, you're going to get all people, files, meetings, and emails. You can create presentations from a really long, informative email that somebody sent you. Or from a meeting, you can create a presentation from that. So keep that in mind. I'm going to do files, and I've got this digital nomad space, this project charter. So say I'm working on a project, and I've got the project charter. I need to present to the team like in an hour. Reach out to that file. And I got that by typing slash. It's on my OneDrive, and it could be on your SharePoint. And there we go. It's giving me an outline, so I kind of get that chance to preview it. So it's generating my slides, creating some speaker notes. There we go. It created a 21 slide deck with all of this, which is basically taking this project charter document. I'm the project manager, look. And put in some images. They're not that great of images, but I think this is a great start. Now, I don't love these colors so much for this, so keep in mind that you can always go to the design tab and you can use some of these preset ones or the designer. The designer is also showing up on the design tab as well as home. So right there. All right, cool. And we're just wrapping up, got a couple more examples, but if you do have additional questions that I haven't talked about yet, please let me know and I'd be happy to cover those. But why don't we focus on, I'm just going to go here. Sometimes you need something like transitioning to a Microsoft Teams phone system. I just created this one. I'm going to click on CoPilot so you can see the past. We'll be able to see exactly. So let's say I want to create, and I've outlined what I want this presentation to look like. So I'm just going to paste this in to save me some time. We have up to 2,000 characters. I've got 1,933 characters, which basically is a bulleted list of different slides that I want to have on there and the ideas with the title. And I'm just going to hit send. While that's doing its thing, I want to just, in the last couple minutes here, talk about, on the bottom, we have view prompts, we have manage content preferences, and there's a microphone. And if you just want to basically talk to text, you can do that. I'll explore those in just a moment because that was actually pretty quick. It's telling me, all right, looks like you're working on a presentation. There it is. Is there anything specific you'd like to add or modify? Please create a presentation. Oops. Oh, this is interesting. Again, earlier I pasted this in to make sure it worked. So what I'm going to do for this one, I'm going to leave that just for the moment. I'm going to try that again in just a sec. What I did on the bottom was click View Prompts. I think this is awesome. It's using CoPilot Lab, and you can actually save prompts. So if you take a look at these and you're thinking, oh, that's a good one, suggest stock images of, and then description. If you just click that, add stock images of office spaces. And here we have designer, where we can just click insert, put that image in, click on designer, and change the way it looks. Super fast, super easy actually. I think it's cool. All right. I think we've covered everything. I had a lot of examples, and it was actually kind of cool to see a couple of those hiccups because, as you can see, it shouldn't faze you too badly. Try again. I think it's pretty amazing, and if people have additional questions, I'm always excited to share. Dan, Mike, Brad, if you have anything additional you'd like to mention, please do. But thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time. Learn more about CoPilot.
Yeah, thanks, John. I guess the only thing I wanted to add is just, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Hopefully you found some ways to offload some of that work in PowerPoint to CoPilot so you can knock out some professional presentations quickly and impress the boss, your clients, whoever it may be. As always, we'll be posting the recording of this webinar on our website, and I'll be sending a link to that recording to everybody in the next few days. And then also be on the lookout for the invitation to our next webinar for January 8th. That's going to be using CoPilot to create images. We can hang out for just another minute or two if anybody has questions. Otherwise, thanks again for joining us, and hope you have a great rest of the day.